Hi folks, Ryan Burns, DB Cooper Sleuth. So starting in 2017, the FBI have been releasing about 400 or 500 pages a month of their original files from their investigation into the DB Cooper hijacking. So far we have over 50,000 pages of these documents, and being the uber dork that I am for this mystery, I've read through all of them.
Nerd alert!
And buried deep within these files, I came across a very strange story about a dilapidated rental house in southwest Washington, and a mysterious tenant who rented it for 2 months just before the hijacking, and then who moved out of there immediately after. This is the story of what might have been DB Cooper's safe house.
We don't know who he was, where he came from, or where he went.
On November 24, 1971, an unidentified man used a briefcase bomb to hijack Northwest Orient Flight 305 on a flight from Portland to Seattle. In exchange for the lives of everyone aboard, he received a ransom consisting of $200,000 and 4 parachutes. After letting the passengers go, he tells the pilots to fly south to Mexico City. About 35 minutes after taking off from Seattle, he lowers the rear stairs of the Boeing 727 and jumps out into the darkness of night with his $200,000 strapped to his body. He is never seen again. About a week after the hijacking, the FBI heard from a man named Leonard Leggett who lived in Cowlitz County, Washington. Cowlitz County is right near where Cooper jumped out, and it's not too far north of Portland, which is where the hijacking began. Leggett was a real estate developer who owned a large amount of property in the area, and he wanted to tell the FBI about something unusual involving one of his rental houses. According to Leggett, on September 27, 1971, just 2 months before the hijacking, one of his rental properties in the town of Kalama was rented by a man identifying himself as Ben Leapson of Carson City, Nevada. He tells Leggett that he will only be renting the place for 2 months. He also says that even though he was unemployed, he would have no problem paying the rent. Leggett received these rent payments in September and October in the form of checks with Leapson's name on them, and these checks were drawn from Leapson's bank account down in Nevada. So far, nothing particularly unusual about this. But here's where things start to get a little strange. Leggett noticed that despite this guy renting the place and making his payments, Leapson never actually lived in the house. The house was unfurnished when it went to Leapson, and Leggett never saw any furniture being moved into the place. As far as he could tell, the only things inside the house were a few boxes. So why was this unemployed man paying rent on an empty house that he apparently wasn't even living in? When Leapson eventually moves out of there on November 28th, just 4 days after the hijacking, Leggett recalled seeing him moving those same boxes into his car and then just driving away. Leggett thought the entire situation was odd, but what caused him to call the FBI about it was how closely his tenant seemed to match the FBI's description of the hijacker, including a resemblance to the sketch. Leggett described the renter as approximately 6 feet tall, around 45 years old, with dark hair and a dark complexion. He also said the guy looked somewhat Latin. This description is indeed pretty much right on the nose for Cooper's description. Agents eventually conducted surveillance operations on Leapson down in Nevada, and they noticed something pretty interesting. Despite saying he was unemployed, this guy seemed to be living a pretty nice lifestyle. When the FBI got around to interviewing Leapson himself, he explained all of this away by saying that he was considering moving to the Pacific Northwest and rented this house to check out the area or something like that. It's worth pointing out here that the FBI spoke with his neighbors, and they noted he was only gone from November 20th to December 1st. And he told them he was going to San Francisco with a few friends. Eventually, though, the FBI show a photo of Leapson to the stewardesses from the flight, and they all said he wasn't their hijacker, he wasn't Cooper. And with that, the FBI concluded their investigation on this lead and moved on. And yeah, normally that would be the end of the story. But when I was reading through these files, something caught my eye, which is the reason why I'm discussing this with you right now. When the FBI interviewed Leapson, they listed his height as 5'8". Now remember, Leggett estimated that his tenant was 6 feet tall. For whatever reason, the FBI just never noticed this very obvious height discrepancy. This was all pretty curious to me, so I decided to double check to see if Leapson's height was actually 5'8", because maybe there was a mistake somewhere. I looked up Leapson's military information online, and well, the physical description of Leapson contained within his military records does not match Leggett's tenant at all. Not even close. Leggett was face to face with this guy on multiple occasions and described him as 6 feet tall, with a dark complexion and a somewhat Latin appearance. But yet, Leibson's military records that I found list him as 5'7" or even 5'6" and with a fair complexion. He was also originally from New York, so I'm not sure he's going to have that Midwestern accent either. And looking at some of these photos I found of Leibson, I don't see how he could be described as having a dark complexion nor looking Latin. And here's another detail that makes that height discrepancy particularly hard to explain away. Leonard Leggett himself was 6 feet tall. Yes, I looked up his military records as well. So Leggett wasn't trying to estimate the height of someone considerably taller or shorter than himself. He was describing this man as essentially his own height. For me, it seems virtually impossible that a 6 foot tall man could stand face to face with someone who was really only 5'7" or 5'8" and come away believing that that person was the same height as he was. I mean, take whatever height that you are and imagine describing somebody as being your height when they're actually 5 or 6 inches shorter than you are. That just seems pretty implausible to me. And here's another thing that I thought was notable about all of this. When the FBI themselves go and check out this rental house, they notice that it's in such a poor condition that it would be a hardship for anyone to try to live there. And the only thing they actually found in this place was a receipt from a hardware store in Seattle. It doesn't list any of the items that were purchased from the place, but the total cost was $23, which is the equivalent of around $200 in today's money. But here's what I think is pretty interesting about all of this. This receipt was dated October 12th. Remember, this guy never moved any furniture in, so he never lived there. Yet we have this receipt from this hardware store coming right in the middle of the 2 months that he was renting it. This indicates to me that even though he wasn't actually living there, something was going on inside that place. Now, none of this proves that D.B. Cooper had anything to do whatsoever with this place. There could be a perfectly innocent explanation for all of it. Maybe Leggett badly misremembered the man's appearance. Maybe the military information was inaccurate, and so maybe this tenant actually was Leibson, and his story about wanting to check out the area was true. But consider the alternative. Someone who was not Ben Leibson, but was in cahoots with Ben Leibson, using Leibson's name and Leibson's checks, rents an unfurnished rental property in Washington approximately 2 months before the Cooper hijacking. He apparently doesn't live there. Almost nothing is moved inside there except a few boxes, and within days of Cooper hijacking a plane nearby and jumping out nearby, the contents of the house are removed and the rental ends and the man just disappears. If you were writing a fictional movie about the Cooper hijacking and wanted him to have a safe house, you probably couldn't write it any better than what we have here. So, who was this 6 foot tall, Latin-looking man whom Leonard Leggett remembered renting his empty house to? We may never know who that guy was, but he sure as hell does not sound like Ben Leibson to me. So what do you guys think about all of this? Let me know about it in the comments, and go ahead and like and subscribe and all that YouTubey stuff, and I will talk to you guys again soon.